Good morning from London. It is 7:30, 7 a.m. here. I've had my coffee. Looking forward to speaking to you guys. So, right, who am I? I am Rana, founder and CEO of Raptor PR, and we are at the intersection of video games, media, and Web3. And today, I wanted to talk about some of the opportunities which Web3 provides the games industry as a story point. It's a huge inflection point for the entire tech industry, and it's having ramifications now with huge investments of money and time into it. So I'm going to share my screen, give a bit of an introduction about Raptor PR, who we are and where we fit into the mix, and then move on to suggested recommendations for engaging with Web3 communication strategies. And then at the end, some tactical, easy to implement tactics for everyone to consider. Shall I share on screen? Right, the great Web3 opportunity. There's a huge amount of news in this area right now. It's highly polarizing. This Web2 works. It generates a lot of revenue. But the idealism behind Web3 is it's gripped the world. Certainly in my field of comms and PR, it's possibly the most dominant media topic of conversation right now, right across the board, across B2B, B2C. So this presentation is like a culmination of the last few months of work we've been doing for the likes of AdMix, Infinite Arcades, Dubbit, and some NFT PFP projects. Now, it's such a new area that things are developing and changing almost on a daily basis. In tech, in comms, there aren't that many experts in the field of metaverse Web3 because it's so damn new. We're in a constant state of education and learning and experimenting day by day about how we go. Right, about Raptor PR. So we are at the bleeding intersection of video games, media, and Web3. We recently pivoted to include Web3 as a focus, primarily because our client base is so heavily invested in this area, such as AdMix, completely pivoted from being, a Web2 in-game advertising company to a company which monetizes the metaverse. And then we have organizations like Dubbit, which create fantastic branded executions for Roblox, Infinite Arcades from Turkey, which is looking to bring mass markets Web3 dynamics into casual games, and a few other projects which we're working on. So just a spectrum of some of the brands we've worked with in our time. So we've worked with indies through to AAA publishers, through to some solid ad tech companies. I myself have been in comms and PR for about 20 years plus. So yeah, I've seen Web 1, I've seen Web 2, and I'm trying to apply my lifelong learnings of what not to do when entering a new exciting phase in the tech world. But just an interesting piece about our story. So yeah, I've been in comms for 20 plus years. Raptor PR was born in the pandemic. In the space of just 12 months, we've managed to secure all these clients. I think it's testament to the fact we've got a massively diverse team right across the globe, helping us to create bespoke teams for specific clients like Coda, MetaVentures, Game Analytics, or AdMix. Last year, we just started 2 Raptors, myself and Thomas. We've got people all over the globe, like Anthony in Nigeria, Cecile in France, and so forth. Capabilities out of the box. We're a gateway for many Turkish companies looking to really access English-speaking outlets across the US and UK. But we have global capability with partners in APAC, South America, and across various European countries. Services we offer, full suite of services from comms strategy through to messaging, through to event launches, and social media community management. So it's a full service company. Some results. Mobidictum, a cherished media partner. They've been working with us really closely on a number of brands like Gizmart, and been kind enough to announce some of our new business wins recently. Right, the great Web3 opportunity. It's such a new topic and area, but we need to think about what comms could do to impact the various stakeholders necessary. I think a key central tenet of any Web3 comms strategy is absolute clarity and education. So my team are regularly engaging with journalists in advertising, the games industry. There's huge disparity in terms of what people understand. For example, some of the games trade outlets, some of them just will not write about NFT stories, whereas some others will. In some of the advertising ad techie outlets, there's just a huge gap in knowledge in terms of what they understand about simple Web3 definitions like DAOs or PFPs, for example. Right, I'm going to give you a sneak behind the curtain in terms of how we work with our clients and how we consult with them. So this can help companies of various sizes to help shape their comm strategies into a cohesive plan, which can, be mapped out across the space of, say, 6 to 12 months. As you know, brands aren't built overnight. There needs to be a lot of research, planning, studying competitors, and so forth. Right, so what you need to do at the top end, you need to define your comm strategy. What's the plan? What are your objectives? Are you looking to sell 10,000 NFTs? Is your goal to support an exit? Are you looking to secure $6 million of Series A funding? So you need to map out what you need to do, strategy at the top end. Then you need to think about the messaging and the various audiences. So an area which Raptor really specializes a lot in is helping to create specific messaging for very discrete audiences, whether these are, like gaming guilds, mobile gamers, ad tech agencies, developers, and so forth. Everyone needs absolute clarity in terms of specific key message and tone of voice. Moving towards the tactical. So, your organization, say you might be, looking to integrate NFTs into your offering. It could be, you have some play and earn mechanics. Corporate brand is usually a focus, and say you have 1 or 2 gaming titles. So this is absolutely paramount. You lock down your comm strategy before you go tactical. Don't run before you can walk. Tactically, things you could do include things like exec visibility, so that's interviews, thought leadership, events like Mobidictum's events in September, media partnerships, and other things like podcasts, all of which to target your specific audiences. You need to define these, you need to work out who's important to you, whether these are other devs, studios, investors, brands, and agencies. Right, so this is where things get a bit more interesting with Web3 audiences. So you've got a bigger spectrum or palette of audiences to engage with. Now, we are learning, things are changing dramatically day by day, but some things remain pretty constant. So online news, that's definitely something which PR and comms can take care of. So you need to work out what audiences are going to be keyed into or interested in your messages. So if you have a crypto element, then it's going to be crypto outlets like, say, Cointelegraph, perhaps Wired for something more mainstreamy, consumery. Social community, definitely not PR. Highly advised companies manage Discord, community engagement, or Telegram or Reddit directly from the brand or client. It's just not a good look for PRs to engage with Web3 communities directly. Offline events, these are making a big comeback in 2022. So absolutely, try and be tactical about the types of events you want to attend, whether it's like Mobidictum or GDC in a couple of weeks. Investors, so in Web3, absolutely target broadcasts. So target your local broadcast stations with relevant macro level news events. Metaverse, this is the exciting part. So Web3 represents a tremendous opportunity for brands, agencies, and PRs to just embrace a new medium. Now, there's only so far 2D technology can take you. If you're trying to convince journalists about the value, intrinsic value of 3D environments, reading about it is not going to work anymore. Just like when the internet turned up or Web 2, you need to create or experiment in creating virtual sandbox worlds, which I call virtual experiential. These could be custom-built environments in places like the Decentraland sandbox, or it could be a custom-built 3D environments just to demonstrate and just show and tell in real life, well, in virtual real life, how that can work. So that's a super exciting part of comms in 2022, 2023. Right. I'll say it again. Educating Web3, absolutely paramount to explain to your stakeholders that you know what you're talking about. Have glossaries on your website, have explainers in your press materials. Don't assume your audience knows everything you do. We're dealing with highly complex terms. A whole gamut of terminology has sprung up overnight, like LARPing and, PFPs and DAOs. Not everyone knows these facts or definitions. They will, I'm sure, roll into the business language over the next few years. But my recommendation for at least this year is to have education as a central pillar in all your communication strategy. Right. Web3 companies, blockchain companies, they are getting huge amounts of investment recently. Every week there seems to be a new, big win for serious, a blockchain company, for example. So how do you do this with PR? Dealing with the crypto media directly is good, but you need to engage with institutional investors. And what do they read? They read things like the FT, Bloomberg, CNBC. So you need to show absolute leadership on macro Web3 issues and get in front of institutional investors in traditional media outlets. So although, yes, you're dealing with communities or gaming guilds, don't ignore the traditional tier one finance and business outlets. So what do investors look at? They look at your performance. They look at your products, they look at your game, they look at your technology, and they look at your C-suite. So in your business comms, finance media, ensure these three tenets are heavily integrated into the mix. Some examples of recent coverage for Admix, successful in securing the 25 million Series B across various outlets like TechCrunch, Business Insider, GamesIndustry.biz, and Exchanger. So it's right across the board from games industry to tech to business media. Good partners at Mobidictum. Here talking about the launch of Coda's Infinite Arcade's Web3 platform. And here we have Admix's in-play technology being rolled out into Gameloft titles. Right, so back to virtual experiential. Now, a number of Raptor clients are working on this right now, but this is an absolute huge opportunity for, the tech industry, the games industry to embrace 3D worlds, to go virtual experiential. Bylines are great. Thought leadership is great. Been reading about it, but do you have time to read 800 words? How are audiences going to understand what happens in 3D worlds? Some of these journalists or investors, they don't put on headsets. they need to be shown handheld into worlds like Roblox or Decentraland. So what we plan to do this year with a number of our clients is to run things like press conferences in Roblox or Decentraland or Sandbox. Now, the opportunity is there. I'd highly recommend looking into these platforms just to show your embrace of the medium, just trying something different. The world is going really crazy. Just embrace it, use it. Right. This is like a suggested overview strategy for dealing with Web3 comms, and I'll happily send this deck to anyone who wants it later. It's like a four-pronged approach. So it's a very Web3 is a very community-based platform. Idealism. So you want to target creators, brands, guilds, communicate the benefits, why it's important, what's the benefit for them. Virtual experiential, discuss that. Educate with absolute simplicity. So educate, excite them, inform them, and entertain them. B2B comms doesn't need to be boring. It can be fun, just bring it to life, do stuff different from other people, use infographics, use visuals. These are absolute critical components of Raptor PR comm strategies, and it's there for the taking. People, talent, use your C-suite to become metaverse influencers or commentators. It's a no-brainer. Investors love charismatic, knowledgeable, experienced, and savvy leaders who are positioned as contributors and also C-suites. I mean, a great example of this is Sekit from Coda, who is recently launching for the arcades, and that's a really exciting project which is just taken off. Right. Tactical ideas to help people talk about Web3 or comment on it. So I'm a firm believer that everyone has stories to tell, from small indies to AAA mobile publishers or ad tech vendors. Now, bylines, for example, a great example for companies to start thinking about getting across some of their thoughts for various audiences. So outlets like Mobidictum or Pocket Game or VentureBeat still accept earned byline ideas. So whether you're thinking about an idea, could be how Web3 dynamics will transform mobile gaming, for example, or how 5G is going to transform cloud gaming. Everyone's got good ideas. This is a really effective way for organizations of all shapes and sizes to get across their thoughts. And we've had great success with small companies securing, huge byline pieces in VentureBeat, which are going toe to toe with, huge companies like Facebook, for example. This is a great cost-effective route to get your messaging across, but also to position yourselves as absolute thought leaders in what you do. Now, every organization will have stories. You just need to dig deep, study what's out there, and formulate some compelling content to excite and educate your readers. C-suite. Now, the world is coming back to life with events. C-suites are arguably the key figureheads for companies. Get some interviews in the diary. Apply for panels. Submit yourself for podcasts. Engage in events and so forth. Other things you could do for increasing your Web3 commentary: network with the media. So connect with Batuan's team at Mobidictum. Most journalists will be open to contact from brands and agencies and developers. So just fire off a few gentle emails. Don't annoy them. Recommendation is to study who you're going to engage with, see what kind of stories they've written about. Think about why they should engage with you. Are you giving them something new? So absolutely network with the media, and this can get you some coverage on breaking Web3 stories, for example. Now, Web3 is massively polarizing. It's Marmite, as we say in the UK. So people love it or either hate it. I'm a big fan of not sitting on the fence. Voice your opinion. If you don't believe in something, you can back it up with facts or other strong viewpoints. Don't sit on the fence. You'll have a lot more engagement. Journalists much prefer to hear something constructive and alternative in terms of lines of thinking. And lastly, celebrate what's happened in the industry. You don't have to just talk about how wonderful your company is. Look to celebrate the successes of your customers, your partners, huge developments in tech. Just celebrate the industry. Ultimately, the growth of Web3 is wonderful for the entire mobile games industry. So that's something to keep an eye on. Right, Berke Batuan, any questions from the floor? What are the expectations of media companies when working with PR agencies? What do you mean, Batuan? Oh, right, okay. Media brands like Mobidictum, they want quality content. Sometimes exclusives help. Generally, the media ecosystem is, it tends to be an earned ecosystem, but at the same time, the media brands, rely on PR agencies and their partners for, potential media partnerships or sponsorships. But primarily, media companies have a symbiotic relationship with comms agencies. Half of the news we read in trade media or all media comes from comms. So the expectations is, I think, is for quality, not to spam media brands with bad news. Raptor PR is, very strict about what it sends out on behalf of its clients. For example, we will deliberate over every release, even if it's a need for a release, and be very tactical about what we send to media brands like Mobidictum. Good question. So studios need to conduct their SWOT analysis initially. They need to work out, their brand positioning. Does their tone of voice reflect the company? Does the tone of voice reflect the organization's values? The language itself needs to stand out or pop. The language needs to convey what the company does with absolute clarity. In terms of brand identity, it's hugely important. If you think about investors engaging with your brands, whether it be through PR or through owned media or social media, you need to have a carefully engineered brand identity, which is uniquely positioned and which conveys what your studio does on the tin. A lot of what we do is helping to shape narrative into brand language to help make just to create a point of difference for our clients compared to their competitors. Thanks, Batuan. If anyone wants this deck, happy to send it and share it. And any questions, hit me up. Happy to chat.